früher hat man sowas geteilt, heute shared man das.
Ja, das ist das gleiche nur in Englisch. Aber,
das ist vollkommen okay.
Ja, also vielleicht hat es insofern Potenzial, weil es, ich könnte sagen, es hat ein bisschen in der Galerie, so einen Kunstkontext vielleicht, was ja auch viele dann so ein bisschen rausholt aus dieser vielleicht manchmal spröden Politik.
Also es darf nicht perfekt sein. Es
Nee.
muss schon so einen gewissen Anarchentouch muss es schon
ja,
sein.
und das ist ja auch in Berlin ein bisschen und so.
Ja. Weil ich bin ja jetzt täglich in dieser Scheiß... Sorry. In dieser... Ja. Ach so.
Sorry, I can't vote for
Yeah, just vote for someone else. Just out of jokes.
you vote for someone else.
Here's the microphone. It's in your power, right? Can you say that again?
I'm holding this very big microphone, and I know this is going live, but you haven't seen my face yet. But I'm very excited to see you again at 7 o'clock, when we will find out what Germany is all about.
Okay, guys, so stay tuned. At 7 p.m., we are here. Test. Test, Test, Test.
Did you have the swab?
Test, Test, Test. 1, 2, 3, Mikrofon funktioniert. 1, 2, 3, Test, Test. Test, Test, Test. 1, 2, 3, Mikrofon funktioniert. So, dann wollen wir mal gucken, ob wir vielleicht das Audio-Rack-Level etwas erhöhen hier. The dynamic of the room is more here in the end.
Yeah.
That this is like a spot to chill, and this is maybe then the action spot here a little bit.
Yeah.
I also like I like it here, chilly there.
I'll say to them they're free to move if they want to.
But yeah.
See what happens if they end up staying here.
Yeah, in the end maybe stay there and then. But we can also then, you can also then decide, come on, let's get on the other side.
This is kind of cozy. But if we feel like somebody wants to move, then they can move. This is like.
Lighting is a bit messy, no? How do I roll?
This time. So the people who hold this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's so when it's near me, you turn it down, or
Huh?
so when it's near me, you turn it down, or you turn it up, like.
Maybe if you just put it not directly to your mouse, it's already turned down.
I know, I mean, if they're holding it, maybe make sure they're holding it really close to their mouth. No?
You could
Hello.
peek.
Okay. But their voices are
I'm not sure. We could make a test now. You can now just scream.
No, they're.
Huh?
No, I don't
You don't have to do it.
But it's like a directional mic, like.
Uh,
Okay. So like where it's pointing is like kind of where it's facing.
yeah, it's a classical hip hop mic. Actually,
Is it you?
it's not a. No, I got it from my company. Yeah, but it's a new one. It's actually a good microphone.
I know the roads. Made in Australia.
Yeah, designed in Australia, made in China.
Well, same.
Okay, das ist jetzt, wenn jemand spricht. Alles klar.
There we are.
Marvelous. Test, Test, 1, 2, 3. I feel so powerful with the microphone in the hand, right? You have the power.
Like a. Give it to me. It's not on now, right?
It's on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can I turn it off? I'm going to speak to.
I know, I can put it somewhere else.
I think we can go now. Hello, everybody. Would you like to gather around? I think we are going to begin our political party. This party is called I Don't Speak German, but I Can If You Like. But in this event, we are all going to speak in English because this event is directed at English speakers who live in Berlin or who are interested to come and live in Berlin in the future. So tomorrow, on Friday, the 24th of September, I'm opening a new exhibition here at the Ballery with the theme Germany. I put a call out to artists in Berlin to respond to the word Germany. And from tomorrow, I'm going to be presenting 25 different perspectives of what artists think Germany means to them. So I thought, with 3 days to go until the elections in Germany, I thought it'd be interesting to get as many political campaigners here as possible to tell us what they think is their vision of Berlin or Germany, or maybe to tell us what they think Germany is or should be, or what are they doing going into the future. So we've got each campaigner has 7 minutes to talk uninterrupted about whatever they want. They should not say which party they're from, and maybe don't even say your name unless you have a fake name. And then at 6 minutes there will be a bell, and that will say signify that you've got 1 minute left. After which I will pass the microphone to the next campaigner. And then people in the room, you have a little blue ballot paper. At the end, we will say which number each speaker is, and then you will write in the box which number you preferred. And then after all the speakers are finished, you can take that to the bar, where the handsome Joao will count the ballots, and then he will find out which party has won, and then we will announce it. And then we'll have a few more surprises as well, of course, as the evening goes. Now, campaigners, you're free to move around. There's a camera right there. You can also address the international community if you like. Or you can stay in the room. It's all very easygoing. But for now, each campaigner has a number. And I will now ask campaigner number 1 to show up here, and yeah, you've got 7 minutes when you take this microphone to tell us all about you and Germany and why we should listen to you.
Yeah, thanks.
Ready? 7 minutes. Counting down.
Thank you, and I'm glad to be the first. And what you hear, and not at the Pride, for example, or in other events, but you're here to listen about politics and well, we have 3 days left for the elections, and I'm happy to be here in Berlin, in the city I really, really love, because I'm not born here, I'm born in Mexico, and well, then I'm adopted, so my parents came from Germany, and so I moved to Nuremberg, to Bavaria, and maybe you visited Bavaria. It's pretty much conservative and not into the individual freedom I would prefer. So my dream was to move to Berlin. So after my first study, I moved to Berlin, in the city I really, really love, and I don't regret anything the last 4 years I'm living here. So I'm happy to be here in the city and making politics for the city and have ideas for the city. So I'm candidate. I don't say your party, but maybe you would know after. Yes, I think, first of all, I know a lot of people, they say Berlin, it's really dirty. It's not a really functional city. It's like a failed state in Germany. But I don't think so. I think it's vis-a-vis point I really like, and I think that's a cool atmosphere. I can really being the person I want to be. It's a lot of diversity, a lot of events, a lot of things to do, a lot of things to discover, a lot of different people with different opinions. And I really want to share and to discuss with you, maybe after, about a lot of ideas. And so I really like the city. And but of course we have to change something. And maybe we have to change in some topics, not in every topics, but I think we have to change in some topics the politics of the city, because something is not it's not going really good. But well, or I have other ideas. For example, that is my main topic in this election, for this election. It's education politics, and I was before the president of a student group in Germany, and so I know a lot about politics in universities. And now I'm for my party the coordinator for science politics. So that's my main topics: education in higher education and science. And so I meet a lot of different people from other countries. We come here for making science, for being at university, to work here, to do different things for big companies. And that's really cool. But a lot of people have problems here, because they say, we don't speak German, we don't want to speak German, because we are here for some years, maybe for 1 year, 2 years, maybe just for some months, for one semester, 6 months. And but it's so difficult here, because if you go to the office of your Bezirk or of whole Berlin, you have a lot of people that can't speak English. You have all the bureaucracy in German. It's not nothing in English, or not that much in English you need, and nobody can help you. It's really difficult to know what you want to do and what you need to get what you need, and that's a mess. So I think, first of all, we have to make the bureaucracy more transparent, more easier for people we need here, we want here. People we are here for some cool jobs, for science, for helping in projects, to make all this bureaucracy easier, and in English, for example. And the second point is, of course, people will move here to Germany, maybe for being longer here, not just a semester, maybe for some years, to be here and they need, of course, apartments. We need somewhere to live, and of course, we all know the problems about the high rents for apartments. So first of all, of course, the Senate of Berlin have to build more. We have space, so we need to build more. I think everybody wants that we have more apartments in the hand of the state. And but on the other hand, we have to think about what we do with high rents. And I'm not really a fan about to buy a lot of apartments from from big companies. For example, in 2003, we sold 64,000 apartments for just nothing, I think for 400 millions of euros. And last week, or before 2 weeks, we bought it back 16,000, just fixed 16,000 for 2.4 billions of euros back. And I think that's not fit, because we taxpayers pay for the apartments of the big companies, and I think that's not the way we have to go to buy back really really high priced apartments back. So I think we have to build more. Of course, we need other solutions, but just buying back the apartments of this city, that cannot be the solution for all the problems. So how much time I have? I don't. 5 seconds. So I think we have to do more for people who are English speaking.
I love a good punctual finish, don't you? 7 minutes
Thank
on the
you.
bill. Thank you very much. Yes, 7. Wouldn't it be nice if life was like that with everyone that you met? You just had 7 minutes and then they bing and then you're gone. Anyway, so we're going to go to number 2. Who is number 2? Come on over. Are you happy to perform here? Your 7 minutes.
Yes,
Has
thank you
begun.
very much. Okay. Thank you, Simon, for this invitation and for doing this event. It's really a great opportunity to address an English-speaking community here in Berlin. I've been living in this city now for 30 years. In June, I celebrated my 30th anniversary. So why did I end up here? I came from a very political household. And I was a student of politics, studying the relationship between the East and the West Bloc at the time of Perestroika. And I was a huge David Bowie and Iggy Pop fan. And I visited Berlin for the first time in January of 1988, and it was love at first sight. And I knew then and there, I was right in the middle of my BA, that this is where I was going, this was the place I was going to make my home. And less than 2 years later, the wall fell, and this city ended up moving from a small outpost, a sort of very sleepy outpost in the middle of nowhere, to a huge, bustling capital city in the middle of Europe. And it's been fascinating being here for the last 30 years to experience that transition. Through no fault of its own, suddenly Berlin became what it is. And so why are we talking with you guys tonight? So how does it happen that people who are English speakers can even vote? I mean, I'm sure all of you know this already, but I just want to make it clear. If you're a citizen of the EU, who's a official resident of Berlin, you're entitled to vote in the municipal elections, and that's guaranteed to you by the Maastricht treaties. So again, by no fault of its own and without its own doing, this possibility is there, but unfortunately it's not because the governments in this city or in this country ever wanted it to be that way. It was the EU treaties that imposed that. Otherwise, you have to crack the code, as I did. It took me 20 years as a political person living in a place. It was incredibly difficult for me every 4 years, every 5 years for state elections not to be able to vote. And in fact, in the 90s, there were campaigns of some of the parties who are still in power against dual citizenship. And so thankfully, the European treaties made it possible, but so far it hasn't been the policy of governments in Germany. And so I'm happy to share my secrets of how I cracked the code with any of you later on, how it's going to be possible. So I guess what we experience, so I don't quite know what to talk about with all of you, because how I feel about Germany is huge, but many of you may only be able to vote at the municipal level. And there's a lot of really important decisions that take place at the municipal level, from how our streets are organized, how much space do different traffic participants have, how do our institutions, our libraries, our cultural institutions work. The municipal level is incredibly important. So I don't want you to think that I'm forgetting about Germany if I happen to talk a little bit more about Berlin. But interestingly, in the 30 years I've been here, the transformation that we talked about isn't really complete yet. Berlin is still in many ways, its government is still more used to being an administration, to administering things, rather than actually steering the city and considering the city to be really one of the leading capitals in Europe. I feel like we're not in the A list yet here. We tend to punch sort of below our own weight, and it's going to be a challenge to get the city back to where it should be. Also, because of the assets of the communities that are here, we are incredibly diverse in this town, but the government of the city has never made a real effort to reach out to the diverse communities and involve them and seek them out and include them, in fact, in how political processes take place. And that is something, that's the reason why I'm involved in politics. So in my party, my role is I'm the kind of EU responsible person, responsible for reaching out to EU citizens in the party, but also responsible for bringing European issues closer to Berlin and involving them in our own local politics as well. So I guess that's my pitch to you, is that we've had a couple of parties have been in power in the city for a long time, and they felt like quite a juggernaut. The city hasn't been able to move forward and move up and complete that transformation, move up into the A list. It's still being administered. It's not yet being steered. So the party that I work with, for example, has done quite a bit. We've established the first anti-discrimination law, for example. It was on our push within the current coalition that it even exists. But we need to do more than simply not discriminate against communities. Again, we need to include them. So I'm really happy that Simon is doing this, and I hope that this is one of many events that we'll do throughout the upcoming legislature, because we need to understand better how to serve your community, but also how to use you as an asset in order to bring the city into the sort of league that it should be playing in. So I think I'm going to stay under my time limit, but that's, I guess, the thing that my party stands for, is doing things proactively and involving folks like me into the political processes at a very high level. We have a candidate for mayor in this city who is a really remarkable woman and really cares and really understands a lot of the things that I've been talking about tonight. So I do hope that you help us and work together with us to bring the city to where it really should be. Thank you very much.
Isn't it wonderful when you finish on time? I love punctuality once again. So we're going to go to campaign number 3. Come on over. Your 7 minutes starts now.
Thank you very much. I think we all prepared something tonight and then realised that in true Simon style, it's one of those events you can't really prepare for. So I might zip to the notes, I might not. I'll just see how it goes. I can't say my name, but I'm a dual Irish-British citizen. I too am quite annoyed that I can't vote for my own government in this city, along with a third of the rest of Berlin's population. So I'm doing what I can do, and I'm standing for the local council in Tempelhof, Schöneberg. I arrived in Berlin 4 years ago, and I couldn't speak a word of German. So if you're asking why, after 4 years, roughly B1 German, are you standing for election? I don't know, and if you can tell me, that really would be great. What about Germany? Germany, what it means to me is a lot more than you'd assume, listening to my accent. I was born in Iserlohn, in NRW. My dad was a soldier in West Germany at the time, stationed here. One of my earliest political memories, it was my earliest political memory actually, I went into the living room, and it was an evening, I can't be evening, it must have been during the day in 1989, and I was livid. And I said, "Mum, why have my cartoons been cancelled?" And we had one English-speaking channel at the time, and of course we're British, so we don't teach ourselves a foreign language. And my mum said, "Oh, there's something on the news," and I hated the news. 5-year-old Chris absolutely hated the news, and politics, by the way. So I then said to her, Mum, why are my cartoons not on? What is so important about a wall falling down? So 5-year-old Chris also didn't quite understand the importance and the geopolitical implications of the Berlin Wall. But Germany, for me, is the place where I grew up. It's the place I have my fondest childhood memories. And after the EU referendum, when it all went wrong, and I thought about, where should we go? It would be nice to move to Europe. I know Britain's in Europe, technically speaking. No, it's not. And I thought to myself, why not go to Berlin? It's my favorite city in the world, and it felt like home. So to me, Germany, despite my linguistic skills, is home. And that's what Germany means to me. I fell into politics about a number of years ago, and every time I try and get out of it, I slip back in. I suppose I got into politics for the same reason that everybody does. I got angry. And even though I love this city, Berlin is my favorite city in the world. I love that here you can be who you want. You can dress how you want. You can love who you want. You can love how many people you want. You can love them at any time you want. And you can do all that. You can pray to who you want. You can not pray to who you want. And still this city will not treat you with judgment or resentment. That's my favorite thing about Berlin. It's a place where you can be yourself. There are some problems. And that, occasionally we sort of see them and we get angry. So I get angry that cyclists are still dying on Berlin's roads. I get angry that people talk more about the rights to own a car than the right to maybe not have a planet that's on fire. I get angry when I have to lift up prams or help older people at the S-Bahn because the lift has been out of order for 6 months, or there's no lift at all. There is so much wrong in this city that could be fixed, this city that we call this wonderful liberal metropolis in Germany, yet we don't do the most basic things to look after our people. I get angry when I see the same signs in Berlin that I saw 20 years ago in London, a city that's becoming far more hostile to those on lower incomes. When I see the thinly veiled resentment for people that have to live in social housing, the same half-baked ideas that we had back in the UK, just build more, that will make it okay. We did that in London, it didn't work. We still have a housing crisis in London. And I would say to anybody here, or anybody watching, if you're not concerned about gentrification in Berlin, just imagine what it would be like when your favorite queer bar in Neukölln closes down because they can't afford the rent anymore. Watch what it would be like when everything that makes Berlin, Berlin, when you walk through it on a Friday night, you see people of all backgrounds, all cultures, all classes. That's what makes Berlin, Berlin. And if we do not ensure that we have affordable housing over the next few years, we will end up soulless. It will rip the heart out of everything this city is, and it is absolutely vital that we intervene. We should take a leaf out of Vienna's book, and that is 60% state-owned housing that's good housing. Remove the stigma from social housing, make social housing the norm, and then you have absolutely no need for artificial rent caps. You have absolutely no need to, none of this 200 people turning up to one single flat viewing, that humiliating ritual, only to then be told that they can't get it and then to have to do the process all over again for a flat they can't even afford in the first place. And more personally, I get angry because in January, I finally in this city managed to find a psychiatrist, and I got diagnosed with ADHD after 7 years of various other diagnoses. And it was really difficult finding a psychiatrist here. I hear it all the time. I hear people coming to see their doctor and saying, I think I've got a mental health problem. A doctor saying, have you tried drinking tea? And I don't want people to be in that situation. I'm standing here for election for 2 reasons. I have my solution. I've had my diagnosis and my treatment, and other people have not. It is absolutely unacceptable that in this city you are more able, it is easier to get your mental health medication from the dealers in Görlitzer Park than it is from your own doctor. It is absolutely disgraceful. So, yeah, I'm an immigrant, but barely speaks German, standing for election in Tempelhof Schöneberg because I've done it before, I know exactly what to do, and that is be a pain in the ass. I've achieved things when I was a councillor before by being a pain in the ass. Is that done? So I would ask you, please, give me the honour of being able to give back to this city that's given so much to me.
Bravo. Thank you very much. So I think we're going to keep on moving swiftly on. Who's number 4? I shall refrain from saying your name. Okay. Thank you very much. Your 7 minutes starts now.
Well, thank you. Good evening to the dog also. So I'm not allowed to say my name, but I'm allowed to say hello. Good evening to all of you. Thank you, Simon, for inviting. And thank you, actually, for this very nice change of campaigning mode. Because as you can all imagine, probably, is that the last weeks were quite tough, and the last days will be even tougher. So this evening here is a pretty nice change of mode to what happened the last weeks on the streets, on the podiums, and whatsoever. So I was born in 1987, and I was born in the western part of Berlin, and I actually grew up in the street next to this one. In Winterfeldstraße. I went to school here, and I spent my childhood and my youth here. And some of the topics that I'm really into, some of you already spoke about them. And I, as you asked, Simon, what vision do we have about, or for Germany, but also for Berlin? I would say, speaking in visions, it would be a Germany that is working on peace, working on social justice, and working on climate justice, not only for Berlin, not only for Germany, but all over the world. And I would say, yes, Germany, Berlin plays an important role in the whole global politics, and we should go ahead when it comes to social justice, climate justice, but also peace politics. And peace politics, I would say, one really important point in that is to legally forbid any export of weapons anywhere in this world, and especially in war and conflict regions. And I think there are only a few parties that promote that quite fondly in the last years. I'm a member of one of those parties, by the way. So, 2 things for Berlin. I mean, there would be more, but I want to concentrate maybe on 2 or 3. The first is actually housing politics, so rental politics. I think there's a very lively community in Berlin, and not only community, but people who live here and who fight for their rights. I will just, because I'm not allowed to drop the name of any parties, but I drop the name of some social movements here that are really inspiring and that I'm in favor with. So the first would be the campaign Deutsche Wohnen und Co. enteignen. I think it is really necessary to get housing out or from the market and to get it back in public hands. And I think a lot of Berliners have showed the last weeks why that is important, and that is a huge movement that is necessary. And it's also necessary to have the courage to confront big money, big corporations, and big so-called Immobilienkonzerne. And I'm in favor really much to expropriate them. Not the one person who owns one apartment in Berlin. I don't care about that, and my party doesn't either. But about those companies that own more than 3,000 apartments in Berlin and who don't use it for giving the human rights to housing, but more to giving some right that is no human right, the so-called profits to the ones who owns those apartments. And I think that is not how it should be, because housing is a human right. So this is the first thing. The second one, and also a very lively and a very courageous social movement in Berlin at the moment, is the so-called Krankenhausbewegung. So what is the Krankenhausbewegung? The Krankenhausbewegung is the people who work in the hospitals, for example, nurses, but also doctors. And those people working there, they are fighting not only for higher pay or higher wages, they are fighting for better working conditions in the hospitals. And I say, good healthcare. Healthcare is also a human right that needs to be provided and that needs to be in public hand also. So it's housing and not to be privatized. Why is that? Because then we can control the working conditions better. We can pay better wages for the people who are saving our asses there in the hospitals. I mean, we've seen the conditions under the corona crisis, right? That was extraordinary. And the so-called systemrelevanten jobs, so the jobs that are relevant to the system, they get paid so shitty. And I'm not agreeing with this. I think we should really, how do you say, upgrade. Upgrade in paying higher, but also upgrade in respect, and that also means to put more staff in there so that they can actually do their jobs quite well and save our lives, yeah? So this is the second thing. And the second thing leads to the third, and then I will stop. But the third is, I was talking about the so-called relevant to the system jobs and so on. Those jobs are very often jobs that women work on. So why is that? It's the so-called women jobs. And it's the so-called women jobs because the jobs are paid very bad. Not because women can do them better or whatever. It's because they are paid very bad. And so I would say an upgrade of all those areas, working areas, is also an upgrade on women and women's work. And it's also a feminist issue, I would say. And me, myself, I'm not only a politician, I'm also a feminist activist. I founded a feminist alliance in 2013. So I would say all these things, social justice, also climate justice, but the question of working conditions, they are linked to each other. And I think it's very important that politics gets connected to social movements and to put pressure on the streets, but in the parliaments also. Well, thank you for the attention.
Thank you. We had a little appearance then from Tilda. She was, yeah, I think she wanted to say that no one's talking about dogs' rights in Berlin, which I think is a big issue. So that was speaker number 4. So now I'm going to call up campaigner number 5, please.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you very much, and good evening. And thank you for the invitation, Simon. It's a very special evening, very special place. And a special challenge because campaigning in English, it's a first for me. And this place here is special to me because I was living right next to it for a long time. I'm not from Berlin, I'm from a land, from a country that doesn't exist anymore, from the former GDR. So when I came to Berlin, it was, yeah, it was different. It's Berlin, and it's also, I was thinking about the historical changes here in the city, and I'm living in Schöneberg, so it's very, very historic here. We have the town hall of Schöneberg. It's where Kennedy spoke, "Ich bin ein Berliner," where Willy Brandt had his desk. The desk is still there if you want to visit it. So it's a special place here, and for me Berlin is the city of diversity, the city of freedom, the city of solidarity, where people and neighbors come together and try to improve their neighborhoods together. I think especially in the last 1.5 years with the corona crisis, we saw that communities got together and got better together, and I'm very much hoping that we can build on that. I want to talk about 2 things especially, because I only have 7 minutes. One is also housing, of course. It's the #1 topic in this election in the city. Every one of you, I think, knows it. And there's not the one measure to fix it, I think. We have to build. We have to build homes in Berlin 200,000. That is the number my party is planning to build till 2030 with social events and also with social infrastructure. And we have also other instruments. We have the so-called Zweckentfremdungsverbot, not a great word, but a great law. We have it here in Berlin since 2014, I think, and it really helped to get back rental apartments, thousands of them in the city, that were vacant or for Airbnb use before. So I think it's important to improve that and give more resource and so a little bit more better regulation on the social aspect of that for social infrastructure. That's one point, and another point are the public companies. Many of our neighbors here in Schöneberg are living currently in public company apartments from Gevo, Bag, Degevo, and Co. I think that's a good thing. I think that's stable rents, safe rents. But they also are social actors in the neighborhoods. That's also important. I think there we can do a little bit better. Our public companies have to take their social responsibility a little bit more. We have here some houses in this neighborhood. I would say it could get better for them, for the people living there. So that's one thing I would like to improve for Schöneberg and for Berlin. And also one aspect when we're talking about living and housing and rents are the people who don't have a flat to live in. So homelessness is one topic that's very close to my heart. I was a member of the local parliament here in Tempo of Schöneberg for the past 5 years. And homelessness was one of my main topics because I can't really accept it that people are losing their homes or living unwillingly on the streets. We need more support for them, homeless shelters, medical care, etc. But one thing is the most important, I think, and that's the housing first approach. You have to have a roof over your head, and then we can deal together with all the other problems that come along with homelessness, like drug abuse or mental health problems or whatever, but you have to have a home. So housing first, I think it's the way to go. We have to make it bigger, we have to make it better, and we do see that it's working. So there are projects of housing first in Berlin, also one especially for women, and it has a great success rate, and it's working. So we need that. And one other aspect I want to address, apart from housing and living, is culture and places of culture, like here, this gallery we're in, because I think it's a very big part of the Berlin we know, the Schöneberg we know, little places, concert places, little theaters, galleries, everything that's art and culture. And then we are at the commercial rent topic, because commercial rents are increasing and there's almost no regulation for it. And we need to address that. We can't do it in Berlin alone. We have to get the Bundestag involved. So we have to regulate commercial rents. Without it, I don't think we could have all these special places in our neighborhoods in the future. So that's what I wanted to say. And one last thing, before the 7 minutes up, I wish for progressive alliances, both for Berlin and for the federal level, because I think that's the only way that we could do all the things that I would wish, and some of my other, I don't know, some of the other party members here would want to do for a better Berlin. Thank you.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to say is when, with this exhibition, for example, that I have on at the moment, each artist was invited to submit one work, which I think, well, usually artists, it's very difficult for them to select one work to show. Usually they want to show a series of works. But I think it's quite interesting for the artist to be able to present what they're all about in that one, with that one image, and then ask yourself, do you want to know more about it? So I think this 7 minutes that you have, I mean, for me, I'm not that informed about what's going on politically with parties in Germany or Berlin. So for me, 7 minutes is great. And I would like, I think it's a good opportunity just in 7 minutes to say what is the main thing and what should I take away from you and what you, your vision of Germany, or, you know what I mean? So 7 minutes, it's not long, but it's long enough to make a good point. So I'm going to move on now to number 6. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Simon, also for the invitation tonight. I'm happy to see everyone. When you were mentioning the one thought or the one picture, I was like, I like this one with the der, die, das, because it says so many things, not just about our German language, but I think about a lot of discussions we are currently in. And what was mentioned before was the love for Berlin. And I think Berlin is really a city that can be a love at first sight, but is also rather often a love at second or 1,001st sight, pretty much as well. And that describes for me very much as well why I do love the city of Berlin and the opportunities it provides, the freedom. It stands for the freedom really to choose who you are and how you are. And if you ask me why I'm campaigning, it's actually because of that. I do believe in people, and that people should have a choice to what they are into and what they are doing. And for Berlin, or the special love in Berlin, I think for me was very much grounded as well in the arts. So whether it's theaters, whether it's galleries that you have everywhere, of course museums as well, clubs. I was here the first time, I think, when I was 15, and decided this is going to be the place where I study. And I think you can probably guess it wasn't because of all the ministries or parliament that I've seen, but rather the other side of Berlin at that young age. So yeah, it's about the belief in people and having choices. And I did start to write a note, and now I'm wondering what I scribbled down. But I did come to the question, not just what I wrote, but the question is what public goods are and what public goods should be. And I think many of us speakers addressed that already tonight. But I do think that education is a very strong point, of course, because it's laying the foundation for everything. But it also describes very much, when you talk about public goods, how public spaces should be. And I think this is, again, one reason for me to be active on a local level, is because I think there's a lot of room for improvement here if you just take a stroll through the neighborhood. So what we are trying to achieve is some very practical ideas, or and I would be very happy to hear your opinion on that after our presentation, of course, is to have a, I don't know if you call it rainbow community in English as well, but to have a house, like a one-stop shop. I'm not certain about the English words in that particular aspects, just right here on Eisenacher and Fuggerstraße, because again, this is a space rather where you have sometimes crime happening or anything, but there is so many people who seek advice, and where we could just provide exactly that. Then talking about how secure you feel in public spaces. Maybe some of you know the Yorkbrücken, that's bridging. That's a horrible area to walk around, to be around. So it's about accessibility in this area, that you, when you're in a wheelchair or are impaired in your walking or just with heavy luggage or a stroller or something can actually properly change from the S-Bahn to the U-Bahn. But what we are also planning is to have a proper light installation there, because it's such an accessible space that everyone sees, and just by having maybe proper colorful light installation, I think it can improve everyone so that actually people who need to pass by do feel safe, but can also enjoy being outside. And it is a very worthwhile area. And this is also one thing I do love very, very much about Berlin and our district, is that we do have many parks. And of course, we should have a look on this and make sure that this is properly maintained. So, I mean, every one of you will probably know some parks or some areas around here that are not taken properly care of. So this is one thing we want to live up to as well, that within 48 hours, when there's either a lot of garbage or other things, will be removed, but also that for Sperrmüll, bulk garbage, I don't know if that's the English word, but that also for this in your districts or like sub-districts, actually you do have regular times so that people are maybe less likely to just throw it in front of the street or in a presumably a dirty corner somewhere in their vicinity. So I think for us at the moment it's really to get from talking to doing a lot of things, because there's a lot of ideas around and everything, but I think we are struggling with bureaucracy and procedures and everything to just proceed from, putting ideas into action. And I think that ultimately it's up to all of us. So I invite you also to, just share ideas, and I think we'll have some time for this after presentation, after our presentations. And thank you so much for listening to me.
So we have two candidates left, so I'm going to call up straight away number 7. Here we go.
Thank you so much. Simon, may I sit?
Yeah.
Hey.
Oh, I forgot one thing now, sorry.
Do you want some of my time?
I wanted to say that there is only, but a very local issue, but in all of Schöneberg, you at the moment have one open official public road for dogs, and that's supposed to close. So this is one thing we're also working on, to have dog areas.
Oh, you're trying to gain her good books. All right, keep that.
Hi, I actually wanted to sit because I'm going to tell a personal story. I really like this format because actually it gives people like me space to tell a story and to tell why I'm currently politically active. I was born here. My family is from East Berlin for generations. My great-grandma and my great-great-grandma, they have experienced both wars in the city. They have seen all of the transformation you guys have spoken of. And I'm deeply troubled because in all of the debates, I don't feel that people have fully grasped how deep the housing crisis is running. Like, I'm scared every day, and I'm not using this as a move. I'm anxious. And it's this very, very underlying anxiety and nervous feeling when you live in one of those big companies that were spoken of. So we're not talking about tiny landlords. I've lived with super nice landlords. Of course they say, I want to make profit off of you. Of course that's maybe normal, even though this is a different debate. But we were always eye to eye, So when there was a question about the utility bill, we would just call him up and he would be like, it's like this and it's like that. When there was, when he was, increasing the rent, he was like, listen guys, it's just what's happening in the district. Maybe you can split it up. So there was always room for interaction. Now I'm with a completely anonymous company. When I call, when there's something wrong, they don't even know which city I'm at. So I think we're completely missing the point of this debate. Yes, we have to build, even though we have so many vacant spaces, because this is what's creating profit on the stock market. And this is not something I can choose. I think I made a good life of myself. I actually went to university. I piled up student debt. This is also possible in Germany. Now I pay 45% for a small apartment. I'm 30 years old. My mom's in my contract because I'm too poor to pay for the rent. And I'm not living in Schöneberg. I'm living outside the Ringbahn. And for me, when I go to the mailbox and I see a letter from the company, it's not even a landlord, it's a company. And like every single time the person that sends you the letter is two people and they change every single time. So you cannot even get in touch with one person. So my utility bill is up next and I'm scared. I have been saving money because people have told me how much it is with those companies. So we do not talk about tiny people or, you know, all those very emotional stories of your grandpa or your grandma investing for your future. This is not what we're talking about. We're talking about multinational companies that actually profit of something that we are all in need of. And we had the debate about water. We had the debate about all kinds of things. But housing enables you to feel safe and to be politically active, to be queer. It's your safe space, and it's actually very fragile. And I'm really terrified, and I have so many friends lined up just to tell me, you know, we can bail you out, but for how long? I mean, my generation was told, you have to be flexible, you have to move around, you have to learn perfect English, you know? And at the same time, we're supposed to somewhat own property. My friend, he's a doctor, he is gonna be engaged, and they can't find a place or they don't get the loan from the bank. He's a doctor and his wife-to-be is a nurse, right? My friend is a professor, or he is going to be a professor, and he couldn't move to Munich with his family because the professorship, the wages he gets there would not sustain him and his family. And this is what we're talking about. And it's not just about the rent, it's also how they act. It should also be a very concerning point when it comes to waging and dumping the wages, because they usually, when you talk to a handyman who comes in to fix something, they tell you all the stories, you just have to listen. You ask them, how's it going? They're like, we don't like to come to your places because we are kind of forced into doing them. It's kind of like the Aldi principle, you know, the supermarket chain. So they buy in big chunks all the services, and then they can just, you know, do it for cheaper. But who's doing it for cheaper? People that are in need of wages. So it's just this endless circle. I'm from an East Berlin family. I will never own anything. I will not inherit, but I worked all my life. I went to university as the first of my family, and I will not be able to build a home for my family or for my friends or any kind of way of life you'd like to wish. We have heard so many stories, and for the past year, I have been on the street talking to all kinds of people. You can't even predict from their looks what their vote's gonna be, what their situation is. And I think now we started talking about wages and rent. And now we kind of feel a sense of power that we are many, that we're actually affected by this so much more than we ever thought. And it doesn't matter what skin color, what language, and what your background is. We are all suffering the same. And I'm a privileged person even. You know, I can be all me about but I'm a white girl, you know? So I already have it easy. So I also want to speak up for all the people who don't have it easy, who I would like to give my tiny flat to. And so we need to have a complete new idea of what property is, what community is, what society is. And I really thought I was done with politics, but this initiative got me back on the street. And it made me feel so powerful. And whenever I was scared, there was always someone. And it didn't matter what age, seriously. I have a friend who's like 70 and she wants to campaign for me when I'm up running for the Bundestag in whatever years. It really made me feel a sense of connection to my neighbors. We started talking, hey, have you seen this person doing this job? Because it's on your utility bill. Right now, the companies are even changing the way they're trying to exploit us. Because it's not through rent, it's also through the utility bills. They put something on there, and this is my last thing that really bothers me. Germany is great with legal stuff, right? You can get support, legal advice all the time. But there's such an imbalance, not just money-wise, but also legally. They have a whole army of lawyers that will just screw you over. My contract for my apartment is this thick. And it's kind of like this eat or die situation, as we say in German, friss oder stirb. And it makes you so scared and it suffocates you. It really does. And it follows me every single day. So it doesn't matter whether this campaign will succeed or not, but I made friends, I guess, for forever. So thank you.
Okay, you didn't say that. You can. Thank you very much. By the way, I just want to say I really appreciate everyone coming here and speaking in English. And I think it's credit also to you. I mean, I think it's just great to see. Anyway, we've got one person left. That's number 8.
Berlin is not Germany, and yet still German. Schöneberg is bourgeois, clean, but somehow still cool. With its variety of society, this district offers everything schön Berlin has to offer. And I'm here to make it schöner. Who am I? I am a Berliner born to parents from Eastern Europe. My consciousness and memory start in a refugee asylum in Friedrichshain. Raised in Köpenick, ripe in Neukölln, and fulfilled in Temple of Schöneberg, I'm here now with expertise in social work, administration, customer service, and remaining calm when stress takes over. So today we heard a lot of plans, problems, and promises. We know about crime rate on Nollendorfplatz. We know about the issue with housing. We know about lack of parking spots. And we know about what is not so schön around this district. But let us focus on what is schön, right? For instance, maybe some of you know that district is one or the richest in Berlin. And I think we should work on keeping it rich, but not just economically. We should work with our people, with our migrants, with our dogs, with our parties, and we also think that the parties should work more together than against each other, because competition is not what's going to make this country grow. Therefore, our first act of service will be to put up 10 drop-in centers to help out our beautiful citizen offices with queues longer than Berghain has. So in those drop-in centers, we will provide you with students and experts who will have answers and joint solutions which we will come up with you together, because we're here to listen to your daily struggle and ideas, and that is only competed in cooperation. And as I'm not here to bore you, but involve you, I want to know you. So, who are you?
What do you want to know?
Who are you? How did you get here tonight?
Well, I'm a neighbor here, and I have my medical practice close to here, so I'm very much interested in the development of the district.
Cool. And what do you think is the biggest problem in this district?
I think the fear of a housing crisis would be the biggest one, hand in hand with climate change.
That's very solid points. And what is one solution you would offer?
Less divas.
Less divas. True. But then again, diva comes from the word divine, doesn't it? Next question is, what does this district embody for you?
Oh, I don't know whether I can put it into words.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, I really don't know if I can put it into words.
You don't have to. I get it. It's not to be put into words. That's why I'm going to stop with the words, because I dressed up because I'm a diva, and I like to be for the city I grew up in. I love this place as much as I love the country my parents were born in. This place made me be myself and gives me the possibility to help others be themselves. And that's why our party stands for unity in variety. And I think that's it. To be continued.
Thank you very much. Thank you to all of the speakers that have spoken. We are now going to have a little bit of a get up and move around and bring you have your little ballot paper. Actually, let's do a recap of who is which number. And then you will write down in the box on the blue card which number you liked the best. Now, it can be for any reason. It's like who were you most compelled by? Who would you like to see more of? Who is the future? So we're going to say, let's have, who's number one? Number one. Number two. Number two. Number three. Number four. Number five. Number six. And number seven. And number 8. Great. So let's, have a little relax, and we'll come back in about 10 minutes, and we'll have something special, and then we will announce the winner of today's vote. All right, so I'll be back here in 10 minutes. So everybody, you can put your vote now and hand it in to Joao. Yes. Put your number, hand it in over there.
I'm not watching. I'm just.
We're on. Hello there. Okay. How do you feel after that?
Quite all right, thank you. Yeah, I think it's a really nice format, so thank you very much, because for us, I mean, it's a different style of presenting, and then it's a more... I mean, I don't know if we spoke. Hey,
let's have it on a camera, shall we? Yeah, how do you feel after your presentation and listening to the other people talk?
I went 5th, so for me, I felt like reacting almost, and then I think with the topics, I was not certain, because I'm not going to talk about things that everyone mentioned. But then again, I think it's a question like what the focus really has been. So for some, it's really about the district, it's really about Berlin, it's really about German elections. So it varies a bit. But I mean, your question, I realize I answer for the first time as a politician. You ask me a question and I say something completely different. I feel actually very good.
And sorry. If there was one thing, the one point that you think that was the main point for you that you wanted to put across? What would you say that was exactly?
Well, I think that change is up to people. And I mean...
And do you see yourself as the change?
Sure I do. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't stand for the local council here. But I think very often you just need the idea giver. I mean, that's one thing, but then actually someone to pursue ideas. And what I like is to actually take an idea and then just see like how can you actually deliver. And this is I like the beauty when something is created and yeah, this is, I mean, you know, you have it in nature, but you can also have it in actually in politics. If you see programs developing for youth or other art projects in the city where you think, okay, this idea has been there, but actually execute it and make it reality. This is why I'm in the game, and yeah.
Lovely. Well, thank you for that. I'm going to go around and get a little bit more reaction from the others. So, I'm going to come over to you. How do you feel about your talk and after listening to the other people speak?
Yeah, I thought it was, I thought it was really wonderful that everybody did a great job, I thought, in English. Even though I'm a native speaker, it was also really unusual for me to be talking about these things in English because, yeah, local issues are just also so granular. So I really enjoyed it. I hope you thought it was a success, Simon.
Yes, I think it was quite interesting, and I'm just wondering, amongst the people who have spoken, the people who have been here, what would you say for you was the number one topic for you? After listening to everybody and thinking about what you are representing, what would you think was number one topic for you? And what do you want to emphasize, or what is the main thing for you?
I think it's lovely the way everybody told their story of their relationship to the city, and that really heartens me. I guess I really just enjoyed being in a non-competitive. I found it actually quite a non-competitive surrounding with the other parties, and simply listening and rooting for everybody that they would do a good job in managing to get their statement across in English.
I was quite, it occurred to me during the event that it was mostly women that were speaking, and I think that's really great to see. But I'm going to now just scoot over here to one of the few men that were talking, and I'm going to ask you, if you want to come over here and tell me what did you think of the presentations and how did you feel about yours?
I think we have a lot of ideas, but you can see what the biggest problem actually is housing. That's what everybody spoke about. It's housing. It's a problem. The high rents, and I think, of course, we have different ideas, but we are all Democrats, and so we want that Berlin, Schöneberg, it's getting better, and after talking before and talking after with all the candidates, you feel that all the people are politicians, but they are humans too. So we spoke about politics, about the election, about campaigning, and everybody have the same problems. Everybody is a bit tired but happy, and we are so excited for the wrestle. So,
do you feel like you're in competition with the other candidates? And if so, how do you feel? Do you feel like you have done enough to win the vote this evening?
Well, of course, we are in competition with the ideas, but we are not in the competition about the personality. So I'm not hating anybody here, or it's not about a fight about I hate your party. It's my presentation. I think my English could be better, so I have to train a bit more.
And do you have a favorite speaker? I mean, you don't have to say which one it is, but do you have a clear favorite?
I laughed about the last presentation because it was so drama. It was so cool on one way, and but yeah, I have a presentation that topics I liked most. So, but I don't say which one.
Great. All right then. Well, we've still got a few more minutes, and we're going to have a little another little presentation in a second, a surprise one.
I'm excited.
Thank you. I'm coming over here now.
Hi.
How do you feel about the presentations and how do you feel about your own?
I feel good about the presentation. I'm very impressed with everyone's English, first of all. Not so much mine. Yeah, it was very interesting. And I was thinking if I didn't know who the other candidates are, from which party they are, if I would have guessed it. Not by every candidate.
Do you think, I had the feeling that there wasn't that much difference between everybody and what they were talking about. I mean, I definitely was hearing about the living situations, apartments and so on. Apart from that, what for you would you say was the main topic that you felt most strongly about after listening to the other people? And what would you say for you now is the next major topic?
Apart from the housing, because I think it was a big problem, the big topic, I think the special role of Schöneberg in Berlin and special role in diversity and freedom that is here in this place. I think all the candidates addressed it. Yeah, and I would say it's one of the biggest issues that we are having here. To maintain this diversity, this cultural diversity, the rainbow kids.
So, if we were going to change the housing situation, what would be the first thing to? How would you start with that? What's the first point?
For the housing, building, of course. And like I said, the stop of the misuse of rental flats for Airbnb and vacancies. So I think, especially here in Schöneberg, it's a big issue, and we have many flats here that are empty or used as Airbnb and could be used for living.
So how soon do you think this plan of action could come in? Let's say after we all vote on this weekend, then how soon can we expect to see any changes?
It's a little bit easy because we already started in the last coalition, but I think we can, with little effort and little money and little personnel, do a lot more. So we can address it like this year. We can start and we can see the next 1,000 flats that are for living again next year, because it's a very easy thing to fix, and it's a very visible thing to fix, because I think many neighbors here are seeing flats that are empty. And
but in Schöneberg, when you talk about building new housing, would we see these buildings going up? I mean, we've seen some on the Kurfürstenstraße and around that area, but where would be the next big zone where you would be planning to build?
I don't think we have a next big zone in Schöneberg. We have some little zones, some rooftop buildings that we can get on, but not so many. We have to build in Berlin on Tempelhofer Feld on the Rand, on the area on the side of Tempelhofer Feld, not in the middle. It remains free, but I think it's important to talk about that and to talk about that with the people in Berlin and get another vote on it.
I mean, I have the feeling that maybe, when I see the new housing becoming available and going up here in the area, I always imagine this for people who have money, because they are presented in that kind of a way, and I wonder if people what can we do that people who have a problem with housing, when they see these buildings going up, they think, oh, that could be also something for them.
Yeah. We have in Berlin something that's called kooperative Neulandentwicklung. That's meant when there's a big housing project to build, then it's stated that you have to have 30% of social rent flats in there, and like building a kita and something like that. But it doesn't apply to every area, especially in Schöneberg we have areas where it doesn't apply from a legal standpoint, and I think we have to change that, so that also here in Schöneberg we have every project that's going to be built with this social
Lovely. Well, thank you very much for that. We're going to have a little extra surprise now, so get ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you like to gather around here? Come around. Would you like to move around?
We have the chance to turn the pages over. We can write what we want to write. We gotta make ends meet before we get much older. Oh, we're all someone's daughter. We're all someone's son. How long can we look at each other down the barrel of a gun? You're the voice trying to understand it. Make a noise or make it clear. We're not gonna sit in silence. We're not gonna live in fear. No. This time, you know we could all stand together with the power to be powerful, believing we can make it better. Oh, we're all someone's daughter. We're all someone's son. How long can we look at each other down the barrel of a gun? You're the voice trying to understand it. Make a noise or make it clear. Oh, oh, we're not gonna sit in silence. not gonna live in fear. No. You're the voice trying to understand it. Make a noise or make it clear. Oh, oh, we're not gonna sit in silence. We're not gonna live in fear. No. You're the voice trying to understand it.
Thank you very much. The one and only Mikey Woodbridge. So we have a winner of today's political party vote, and the lovely Joao is going to tell her. I don't even know who the winner is. So would you like to announce the winner of today's political campaign party?
Absolutely. So the winner of the I don't speak German, but I can if you want, is number 4.
Oh, great. Wow. Have you prepared your Oscar-winning speech?
Well, of course I haven't. So then let me introduce myself, one more time to you. Guys, first of all, thank you for the votes. My name is Friederike Bender. I'm an activist and I'm a member of Die Linke. I told you, yes, thanks for that. Well, just to make it not too long, one sentence maybe. For me, for us, for my party, it's important to not only make politics for the rich and the beautiful, because I say we all are beautiful, but not all of us are rich. And I think this is one very important point, and this leads to a politics that needs social justice, connected to queer politics, to housing politics, to climate politics. And I think, thank you very much for this evening, because this was a very special campaigning evening. This was the first time I attended something like this, and I think we should do it more often. And as one of my colleagues, I think her said, we should talk more and do more with each other, but we should also be clear on what divides us politically, because I think we have to vote some party and on Sunday, and this party you vote for should be in favor, I would say, of the majority of the people living in Berlin, but also protecting minorities living in Berlin. Well, thank you for that.
Yay, thank you. So there we go. How does it feel to win?
Actually, I have to say it feels pretty good.
Is this how it might feel? When do we hear the results actually from the election?
The Berlin election or the Bundestag?
Yeah.
So Berlin will take some time, I suppose. We won't get the results by 6 p.m., I'm afraid. So that'll take the evening, the night, probably.
So Monday you gather.
Sunday evening, night, probably, but yeah.
So tell me, like performers, maybe we all practice our Oscar-winning speeches, but do politicians practice their winning speeches if they win the campaign?
Actually, I have to be honest, I never have the time to prepare stuff like that, because then at the last moment I need to smoke another cigarette and have a sip of white wine or Sekt, and this is why I don't prepare it. Others do probably, I suppose, I don't know. Yeah.
Oh, so you're promoting good behavior.
Yes.
All right, so, well, thank you very much, everybody, for taking part in this event. We're going to hang out here a little bit and turn the lights down and have a little bit of a time where people can ask you questions individually, or you can have a look at the artwork, or just have a nice time or whatever. So anyway, thank you very much, everybody. And for those who are watching, Thank you for joining us, and do share it with everyone. And let's congratulate one more time the winner of today's vote, Federica, and also, once again, the wonderful Mikey Woodbridge for performing for us.